Conte's Napoli has taken positional fluidity to an extreme level that we could even see the right back coming over to the left side to play a line-breaking pass to the left back who is acting like an attacking midfielder positioning in between the defensive lines. We could even see the left winger positioned behind the striker on the right side with almost 7 or 8 players near the ball in a narrow zone. Everyone is oriented towards the ball, trying to form connections between them, and it makes our game even more beautiful. Napoli primarily plays with a fluid and narrow 3-man midfield with Lobotka at the base. The left midfield role is often the difference maker as it is a fluid position often occupied by McTominay. They tend to form a double pivot, allowing him to drift to the central zones to be the free man in between the lines. His role as a roaming midfielder helps Napoli to create that free man in the midfield against the opposition's two ball side midfielders. Then comes the positional fluidity of the left winger who tends to sit between the lines oriented towards the ball to combine with the striker in tiny pockets. They overload the ball side to the extreme levels, even keeping 8 players in the same side. The intention is to disrupt the opposition defensive block. The ball is with the right-sided midfielder who has dropped to receive freely. He has all sorts of progressive options at different heights and lines. As an immediate option, the original holding midfielder is free in between the lines behind the first line of opposition press. He can't be closed on by the second pressing line occupied by the midfielders as the central defensive midfielder is already pinned by the positioning of McTominay, the left-sided midfielder who has drifted from the left to position near the ball. The other midfielder is forced to mark Napoli's right back who has inverted to position in the half space. Thus Lobotka is easily played between the lines. The next pass will show you how game understanding of players around the ball unlocks defenses. As Lobotka has the ball, he has a direct vertical option to striker Lukaku. The passing lane is open due to the positioning of McTominay, who dragged the opposition center protector, giving an easy passing lane for the ball carrier to find the striker. But Lukaku makes use of the existing ball side dynamics by moving back, pinning his marker, thereby allowing the roaming left winger to be that attacking midfielder in between the lines. We could see Lukaku clearly suggesting Lobotka using hand signals to player Raspadori. Such subtle details makes a difference, not just the intriguing formations or shapes. The intention is to then use the midfield runner, which is McTominay here, to attack the space in the backline. It's pleasing to watch how the striker and the roaming left winger understands each other. When the winger runs behind the striker, ball is played to the dropping striker and the whole press is bypassed with it. Simple and effective, but the execution is not that easy and depends on the players' relations and game understanding. The midfield domination is key for Napoli. By maintaining that 3-man midfield, manipulates the opposition midfield line as mentioned before. The movements drag the opposition second line and opens gaps to access the striker. The player tendencies are to support the ball carrier as close as possible. Here it's the left winger making an underlapping run in the right side to support the right winger. The back three created by the center midfielder joining the center backs dictate the play from the deep, while either of the full backs will be in the midfield. Now it's the left back inverting alongside the center midfielder or the right-sided midfielder. McTominay, the left midfielder, is again in an advanced role behind the opposition second line. Conte wants to ensure space between the lines should be dynamically occupied, as we can see here. The right back recognizing the space and moving to position in between the lines. In this particular sequence, the penetrative pass is to the roaming left winger. As striker moved high, the winger dropped to collect the ball, easy and effective. The tendencies to overload the ball side is visible here. We have 3 players spinning the back line and the another 3 in the midfield. It's basically 6 players in a narrow vertical play. It's nearly impossible to keep track of these movements for the opposition midfielders. They have to stay close to the players in front of them while checking the movements behind. Obviously, the gaps will open for deep dictators to find attackers behind the midfield line and they can combine from there. By having this midfield occupation at different heights, it's easy to play quick vertical combination passes to break the press. In addition, the presence of a physical holder player in Lukaku makes things easy for Napoli to progress further. In this particular sequence, the depth is used by a give and go between the holding midfielder and the attacking midfielder to expose the backline. Then the midfield runners will join the attack alongside the striker, and it ultimately ended up as a goal. These spontaneous actions often surprises opponents who will be already engaged defending the numerical overload Napoli has created in the ball side. This means players can go unnoticed by the opposition and can thus turn and carry to penetrate. Coming over to the deeper phases of play, Napoli pleases us with clean build-up plays. It's not just about sticking to positions, but finding solutions to bypass the opposition. Here opponent is pressing with the front two. Right back has inverted to offer multiple options in the middle. Ball was played to the left back, who is immediately pressed. At the moment, Napoli has their midfield three in place, and advanced left-sided midfielder helps the left back by moving wide. To relieve pressure on his teammates, left back runs high, dragging his marker with him. This leaves deep midfielder free. Now comes the interesting part as inverted right back becomes that free option between the lines as the actual midfielders are out of their positions. This is the real-time problem solving that makes the game engaging. Now first line of press is bypassed. To bypass the midfield line, Napoli uses yet another fullback inversion and opposition has no clue as they were busy keeping track of original midfielders. This kind of free-flowing football is what makes them different. Napoli's basic build-up play revolves around their 4-3-3 shape with some variations. In their static shape, the midfield three is in their conventional positions and are strictly man-marked by the opposition. Thus, the backline won't have progressive options and will be forced to play back. This positional structure makes their play predictable and thus no controlled build-up happens as keeper is forced to go low. In a varied build-up play, they uses the double pivot to allow McTominay to move with freedom. He can now occupy the free spaces in the ball side. This creates the overloads that we saw earlier as McTominay is joined by the left winger. The press is bypassed and he has at least 3 progressive options close to him. At times centre backs would position higher and fullback will drop deep to support the keeper. Then winger drops to take the place of fullback. Then the solution is simple. He uses his 1v1 ability to break the press and then gets the support of the dropping striker. The individual potential coupled with structural benefits of a narrow midfield 3 and inverted fullback helps Napoli to progress from here. From there, the far side winger can attack the final third, helped by the runs on the midfield. The midfield runs will disrupt the defenses to open up space. If the passing options are all marked, they occasionally go low, but will maintain the numerical overload by compromising the width as they push both far side winger and the midfielder to the ball side, increasing their chance of winning the second balls. And then the attack progress with the midfield run as striker is bit out of position, so midfielder attacks the box and nearly scores here. Even the centre backs are free to move out of their position if they think they could equip the space available. Here the deep midfielder drops, pulling his marker with him. The advanced position of the two midfielders is already pinning the opposition midfield line deep, so the space is generated and centre back attacks it rather than staying static. Now the press is easily bypassed. As always, the Napoli creates that ball side overload to play through the press using quick combination plays. And finally, when it comes to attacking the penalty box, they push numbers to the box to create chaos and then find the free plays using clever passes. It's all about individual decisions inside the box rather than any complex patterns. Their structure just affords the maximum number of attacking options in the box. Then it's up to them to make use of their interpersonal relations to surprise the opposition.